I have to be honest with you.
Oh,
I've been feeling a little burned out on the future lately.
burned out on the future. That's a heady start.
Well, think about the options we're usually presented with. It feels like we're standing in front of two doors.
Okay.
Door number one is the green virtue door. You walk through it and you save the planet, but the price of admission is that your life gets worse.
Right.
The drills start flying, live in a tiny apartment, eat lentils for every meal, maybe turn the thermostat down until you can see your breath.
The narrative of sacrifice is the eat your vegetables approach to environmentalism.
Exactly. It feels like a global grounding. Like, you kids had too much fun with the Industrial Revolution, now go to your room. But then, door number two is business as usual. We keep the SUVs, we keep the cheap flights, we keep the burgers, but we basically watch the ecosystem collapse on a live stream.
Right. Party now, pay later.
It's a binary choice. Suffer now or suffer later. And frankly, neither option sells. It just makes people want to, tune out.
You've hit on something really important there. That binary scarcity versus destruction is actually a paralysis engine.
A paralysis engine, I like that.
Yeah. If the average person thinks the only way to be sustainable is to drastically lower their quality of life, they won't do it. They might feel guilty, but they won't change.
Which is why I was so desperate to dive into this new stack of research we have today.
Okay.
We're looking at a concept called sustainable abundance. Specifically, we're unpacking a report called The Blueprint for Sustainable Abundance. And I have to say, the premise sounds almost suspicious.
Suspicious how?
Well, it promises the best of both worlds. Limitless clean energy, zero waste, and a high standard of living for everyone, not just the rich, without wrecking the planet. It sounds like a have your cake and eat it too scenario.
All right.
Is this actually based on engineering, or is this just a nice bedtime story for techno-optimists?
That is the million-dollar question. And honestly, when I first looked at the data, I was skeptical too. Sustainable usually implies limits. Abundance implies excess. Putting them together feels like saying dry water.
Right. It feels like an oxymoron.
But the research argues that we've been looking at the equation wrong. The core conflict limits to growth versus human ingenuity might actually be solvable.
Really?
But we have to fundamentally rewrite the operating system of our economy.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. If we're not going to ration our way to safety, how do we get there? The report uses this term decoupling. I see this word thrown around by economists, and my eyes usually glaze over. What does it actually mean in the real world?
It is a bit of a buzzword, I'll grant you that. But it's the secret sauce. Historically, for the last 200 years, every time humanity got richer, meaning we lived longer, had better food, more comfort, we damaged the environment more, the two lines on the graph went up together, GDP goes up, carbon goes up.
Right, because making stuff requires burning stuff. Simple as that.
Exactly. Decoupling means breaking that link. The goal is to keep the good line going up. Health, art, connection, energy access, while crashing the bad line down to zero.
The bad stuff being carbon, waste, toxicity.
All of it.
But wait, how is that physically possible? I mean, if I buy a new phone, resources were mined. If I build a house, concrete was poured. Consumption is physical. How do you break the link without stopping the consumption?
You have to change the nature of the consumption. The report argues we need to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, but focus specifically on energy.
Energy.
Yes. Think about it. Most of our recycling and cleanup problems today aren't actually technology problems. They're cost problems. And the cost is usually energy.
Okay.
If you have expensive, dirty energy, then desalinating ocean water to solve a drought is a disaster. It just creates too much carbon.
Right. It's too expensive to fix the mess.
But imagine a world with near limitless clean energy. Massive solar arrays, next-gen geothermal, eventually fusion. If energy is cheap and clean, the rules of physics, or rather, the rules of economics, change.
How so?
You can afford to desalinate the ocean, to green the desert. You can afford to power massive machines that suck carbon right out of the air.
So the argument is that energy is the master key. If we have enough clean power, we can essentially brute force our way out of scarcity.
Largely, yes. Brute force our way out of scarcity.
Yeah.
It shifts us from, we have to ration this water, to we have the ocean and the sun, let's engineer more fresh water.
Okay, I want to believe that. I really do. But my alarm bells are ringing. This sounds a lot like techno-optimism. Don't worry about your habits. Some nerd in a lab will fix it.
And you should be alarmed. Because this is where things get messy. We have to talk about the Jevons Paradox.
The Jevons Paradox sounds like a Robert Ludlum novel.
It does, but it's actually a 19th century economic theory that just
Yeah.
It ruins everyone's day.
Okay.
William Stanley Jevons noticed that when steam engines became more efficient, using less coal, we didn't use less coal overall. We used more.
Wait, that makes no sense. If the machine uses less fuel, you save fuel.
Individually, yes, but because the engine was more efficient, it became cheaper to run. So people found 1,000 new uses for steam engines. The efficiency didn't lead to savings. It led to expansion.
I'm trying to think of a modern example.
Think about cloud storage, or even just hard drives. 20 years ago, storage was expensive. You had to carefully curate which photos you kept. You deleted bad ones.
Oh, God, yeah. Now I have 4,000 photos of my dog, and half of them are blurry.
Exactly. Storage became abundant and efficient, so you became a data glutton. You didn't save space. You consumed vastly more of it because the cost dropped to basically nothing.
So applying this to energy, the fear is that if we make energy clean and cheap, we won't just power our current lives nicely, we'll invent new, insane ways to use energy.
Precisely. We might say, hey, energy's free, let's air condition our driveways.
Oh.
Or let's fly supersonic jets to get coffee in Paris.
Oh, wow.
If we just had abundance without changing the system, we might just accelerate the destruction of the natural world.
So we could have clean air, but we'd bulldoze the Amazon to build more server farms because, hey, the power is green.
That's the nightmare scenario. And it leads to the second reality check. Material reality.
Okay.
We talk about digital worlds and green energy, but solar panels, wind turbines, and batteries are made of stuff. Atoms.
Right. Lithium, cobalt, copper. I've seen the pictures of those mines. It's not pretty.
It's ugly.
Right.
And the critique here is that sustainable abundance might just be a shell game. We stop burning coal, which is good for the air, but we start strip mining the ocean floor for battery nodules, which destroys biodiversity.
So are we just shifting the destruction to a different part of the map?
It feels like a game of whack-a-mole, right? You knock down carbon, toxic mining waste pops up.
Exactly.
And then there is the clock, the time factor. We are losing species and warming the planet now.
Yeah.
Even if these high-tech solutions work, they take decades to scale.
We might be designing the perfect fire extinguisher while the kitchen is already fully engulfed in flames.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, you're doing a great job of depressing me again. I thought this was the happy episode.
We had to do the reality check. But, and here is the pivot, the blueprint acknowledges all of this. It doesn't say tech solves everything. It says we need 3 specific levers to make the math work.
Okay, let's get into the levers. How do we beat the Jevons Paradox and the mining problem?
The first lever is the circular economy.
I feel like I know this one. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I put my soda can in the blue bin, and I feel like a hero.
Yeah, that's not really it. What we do now isn't circular, it's just a slower line to the landfill.
What do you mean?
You turn a plastic bottle into a park bench, and then 10 years later, the park bench goes to the dump. That's downcycling.
So what's the real version?
True circularity is about mimicking nature. In a forest, waste doesn't exist. A dead tree isn't trash. It's food for fungi, which feeds the soil, which grows a new tree.
The atoms stay in the loop?
The atoms stay in the loop. The blueprint argues we need to treat our technical nutrients, metals, polymers, glass, the same way nature treats wood.
So my toaster.
Your toaster shouldn't be designed to be thrown away. It should be designed so that when it breaks, it can be disassembled back into pure copper, pure steel, and pure plastic, which then become the raw materials for, I don't know, a drone or another toaster.
You're essentially leasing the atoms.
Exactly. You stop mining the earth and start mining the technosphere.
Oh.
We have enough copper above ground already. It's just sitting in junk drawers and landfills.
I see.
If we have that abundant energy we talked about, we can power the processes to reclaim those atoms perfectly.
That solves the mining issue. If you keep the materials in the loop, you don't need to dig giant holes in the Congo.
Theoretically, yes, but it requires a total redesign of everything we make. You can't just glue a phone battery in. You have to make it pop out for recovery.
Okay, so lever 1 is stop throwing atoms away. What's lever 2?
Lever 2 is where people usually get a little squeamish. It's precision biology or cellular agriculture.
Oh, is this the lab-grown meat thing?
It is, but the source material frames it in a really interesting way. It asks us to look at the cow not as an animal, but as a technology.
A cow is technology. That feels a little cold.
It's an analogy for efficiency. As a machine for making protein, a cow is terrible. It has a conversion rate of roughly 25 to 1.
25 to 1.
You have to put 25 calories of plant energy in feed, water, land usage to get 1 calorie of beef out.
Wow, if my car got that kind of mileage, I'd drive it into a lake.
Exactly. If we invented the cow today as a food production system, the patent office would laugh us out of the room. It takes up too much land, uses too much water, and burps out methane.
Right.
Precision biology using bioreactors to grow just the muscle tissue or just the milk proteins changes that ratio.
So instead of growing the whole cow horns, hooves, brain, bones, we just grow the burger.
Right. The theoretical efficiency is closer to 2 to 1 or 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Think about the land implications. Right now, we use a staggering amount of the Earth's surface just to feed livestock.
A huge amount.
If we move that production into vertical fermenters in a city,
We could give the land back.
that's the abundance part. We could rewild massive chunks of the planet. We could have forests where we currently have feedlots.
I get the math, but I have to admit, there's a yuck factor. Eating meat from a vat, it feels dystopian.
It does feel weird.
Mhm.
But ask yourself, is a slaughterhouse less dystopian? We're just used to one of them.
That's a fair point.
The blueprint argues that eventually the clean meat will be safer, cheaper, and tastier. And once it's cheaper, the market will switch. It won't be a moral choice. It will be an economic one.
Fair point. If it tastes like a burger and costs half as much, most people won't care where it came from. Okay, so that's food and materials. What's the third lever?
The third lever is dematerialization. This is the shift from atoms to bits.
This sounds like the Matrix.
It's actually something we've been doing for 20 years. Think about what a smartphone replaced. In 1990, if you wanted to take a picture, navigate a city, listen to music, and look up a fact,
Okay.
you needed a camera, a map, a Walkman, and a set of encyclopedias. That was 50 pounds of stuff.
Now it's just a slab of glass in my pocket.
Exactly. We dematerialized those products. We turned physical goods into digital services. The more value we can deliver as information rather than matter, the less pressure we put on the planet.
But does that apply to things other than media? I can't eat a digital sandwich. I can't live in a digital house.
You can't eat digital food, no. But think about travel. Business travel used to be mandatory. You had to fly a 200-pound human in a 100-ton metal tube across the ocean to have a 2-hour conversation.
And now we have Zoom, which, much as I hate it sometimes, saves a lot of jet fuel.
That is dematerialization, substituting communication for transportation. The blueprint argues we are just scratching the surface of this. If virtual reality gets good enough, do we need to build as many massive office towers? Do we need to commute?
So the triad is circular economy to reuse the atoms we have, precision biology to shrink our agricultural footprint, and dematerialization to stop needing so much physical stuff in the first place.
That's the path. But
Here it comes, the but.
we can't just talk about the gadgets. We have to talk about the people. Because sustainable abundance is a dangerous concept if it's not equitable.
Right. It's easy to talk about post-scarcity when you're recording a deep dive in a nice studio in the West. But what about the global South?
This is the global divide.
Huh.
The industrialized West got rich by burning coal and oil. We had a massive party for 150 years. Now, developing nations are trying to lift their populations out of poverty.
I want fridges, ACs, cars,
And we're standing there saying, whoa, sorry, you can't burn coal. The planet is full.
which is incredibly unfair. It's pulling up the ladder after we've climbed it.
It is. But here's the cold math. If the global South follows the exact same industrial path we did, burning coal for energy, using inefficient agriculture, the climate game is over.
It doesn't matter how many electric cars we buy in California.
Not at all. So the only solution is that we have to make the clean tech cheaper and better than the dirty tech immediately. We need to deploy these abundant systems in Lagos and Mumbai just as fast as in London or New York.
So they can leapfrog the dirty stage.
They need to be able to leapfrog the fossil fuel stage, just like many countries leapfrogged landlines and went straight to cell phones.
So abundance has to be global or it won't be sustainable for anyone.
Exactly. And this brings us to the deepest point in the research. It requires redefining what we mean by the good life.
We're getting philosophical now.
We have to. If the good life is defined as who dies with the most toys, we are doomed. The math of everyone owning 3 cars and a yacht simply doesn't work.
So we have to want different things. That sounds like the living with less argument again.
Not less, different. The report calls it time abundance.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Think about why people chase wealth. It's usually for security and freedom.
Sure.
If we can use this technology to provide the basics, housing, healthcare, healthy food, clean energy, cheaply and automatically, the pressure's off. You don't need to grind for 60 hours a week just to survive.
So the status symbol shifts. It's not about the luxury car. It's about having the time to paint or hang out with your kids or just sleep.
Being rich in life rather than rich in inventory. It's a shift from a consumer identity to a creator or citizen identity.
This brings me to something that really stuck with me from the reading, the psychological aspect. The report talks about agency versus doomerism.
This is crucial. I see so much doomerism online, especially in younger generations. A genuine belief that it's too late, the collapse is inevitable, so why bother?
I feel that too. It's almost a defense mechanism. If you decide it's over, you don't have to try.
Exactly. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If we believe a sustainable, high-tech future is impossible, we won't build the infrastructure, we won't invest in the biology, and we will collapse.
So this vision of sustainable abundance, even if it sounds a bit like sci-fi, is actually a necessary tool. We need a North Star to aim at.
We need to know that there is a landing zone that isn't an apocalypse. But we have to find what the source calls the radical middle.
The radical middle. I love that term. Break that down for me.
It's the balance point. On one extreme, you have the pure techno-optimists. The people who think we can just invent our way out of anything without changing our values. That's dangerous. On the other extreme, you have deep ecology. The belief that technology itself is the enemy, and we should return to a pre-industrial agrarian life.
Which, let's be honest, can't support 8 billion people.
Right. That leads to mass starvation. The radical middle is the synthesis. It accepts that high technology is the only way to support our population, but that technology must be guided by ecological wisdom.
So
We use the spaceship to save the garden.
use the spaceship to save the garden. That is a hell of a bumper sticker.
Right.
So let's try to land this plane. We started with a false choice. Scarcity or destruction. We found a potential third door. Sustainable abundance.
But we know the keys to that door are hard to forge. We need to decouple growth from impact. We need circular systems that actually work, biology that replaces inefficient farming.
And a shift from physical stuff to digital value. And we learned that the biggest trap is the Jevons Paradox. The risk that we'll just use our new superpowers to consume the planet faster if we don't change our mindset.
And that equity isn't a nice to have, it's a survival requirement.
So here's the final thought I want to leave everyone with today. It wasn't explicitly in the text, but it's been nagging at me.
Okay.
We often talk about the future like it's the weather, like it's something that just happens to us. I hope the future is good.
Passive observers.
Exactly. But this blueprint suggests the future is something we construct. It's a construction site. So the question is the biggest barrier to this abundant future the laws of physics? Or is it our collective inability to imagine that it's actually possible?
Are we limited by resources
Yeah.
or by our own cynicism?
I want you to really sit with that. Where do you fall on the spectrum? Are you a techno-optimist, a doomer, or are you ready to try and occupy that radical middle?
It's the most difficult place to be, but it's the only place that matters.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. It's a massive topic, but hey, someone has to figure it out.
Might as well be us.
Catch you on the next one.